Hey, Uncle Roddus here again. Another video, or video time again. Spring has sprung big time here in New Zealand, and all the trees are in massive blossom. We're actually having an exceptionally good year. We had a lot of rain building up to spring. The ground's very wet, the river's flowing, and yeah, the blossoms are really in full bloom big time. It's been really spectacular actually. I've got a beautiful garden with lots of trees that are blossoming in various stages as they go. It's a bit windy today and all the wind's blowing the blossoms around. It's like a bloody snowstorm out there. Anyway, I have a pile of scrap copper that gets taken into town about once every 12 months, and of course I dedicate that money to buying records at the local record shop. And because work's been a bit slow, I've had a bit of time on my hands to do that, so today really didn't have any jobs on today. I'm waiting on builders to get ready for work and stuff, for some jobs. I'm kind of waiting on people holding me up. So I thought, oh, well, I might as well get rid of that unsightly pile of scrap, and I did pretty well actually. I did better than I thought. The price of scrap's actually reasonably good at the moment. So I went down to the local, and oh, you know, there was so much good stuff in there today. Actually, I could have spent 3 times as much just from the bins I looked in. I left a few things behind. There were a few interesting things I was really tempted to buy, but I already had them on CD, or they were ones that I used to have on vinyl. Anyway, I got plenty of New Zealand stuff, as I do, and pretty much mostly New Zealand stuff. And the one that's playing in the background is this thing here. It's called Coach Family Tree. I'm assuming Coach is the name of the band. Yeah, it must be, and Family Tree is the name of the song, so it must be the name of the album. This is from 2012. This has been sitting in the bins forever. I mean, since I've been collecting vinyl for the last 2 years, this has been in the bins and no one's bought it. Then I happened to see someone post it on the New Zealand Facebook page, the Vinyl Lovers Facebook page, and said it's a reasonably good album. So for $10 I thought I'd give it a go. And this is what's playing in the background, and actually it started off pretty cool. Sounds very post-punk. Concept Angels come to mind with that first track. This isn't the first I heard of it. You're hearing it at the same time as I am. Also, for a lovely cheap price of $10, I picked up a copy of this. Now, I've already got this on CD, and this is a vinyl copy. I used to have a vinyl copy. God, imagine if this was my original one. That has been resold several times. You never know, but I sold it back in the 1990s. Zodiac Mind Warp and the Love Reaction, Tattooed Beat Messiah. This is classic rock and roll, you know. This is just, yeah, really awesome record. $10 suggests to me that it's not highly rated and not highly thought of, but I think it's fantastic and I love it. I think good to hear it again. It's got a few scratches on it for $10, but it should clean up pretty well. The vinyl looks nice. This is from 1988. Yeah, so I saw that, I thought I couldn't leave it behind. So, getting into all of the rest of them are all New Zealand ones. The Argumentative Bastards is an EP, 7 tracks, played at 33 RPM. It's from I'm a Hit Records, which was a label back in the early 90s, late 80s. Pretty hard to get your hands on, to be honest. This is so I paid a reasonable price for it. The reason I picked it up was because on the side too there's a cover of Take Me Home Country Roads, the John Denver song, and that got some airplay on student radio back in the early 90s or late 80s when it came out, and it was pretty popular in our flat, that song. So we used to pogo all around the place and have a party up to every time it came on the radio, on the student radio. Listening to it now, it hasn't aged quite that well, as doesn't sound quite as good as I remember, but anyway, pleased to grab that. This is, I haven't even unwrapped these, I actually only just got them home, so I hope the shrink doesn't reflect too much, but this is Glass Vaults. It's not their second album, I don't think, but it's their second on vinyl. I think they had some earlier releases, maybe on vinyl, I'm not sure actually. I got their other album. I saw them live play earlier in the year and I was pretty impressed. This album, what I've heard of it, I've heard a couple of tracks off it, and also what I heard at your concert, reminds me massively of Primal Scream, as in Screamadelica, around that era of them. This is, yeah, really like that. The New Happy, it's called, and it came out just this year. Another one that's almost a brand new release, and this is still in its wrapping. Interesting. Oh, it's got one of these covers out of America, I suppose. It is off an American label. Dion Lunadon. Dion was in a band in New Zealand called the D4. They were a raucous garage rock band in the vein. They were contemporaries of the Datsuns. They put out about 2 albums. I don't think either of them are on vinyl. I've got both of them on CD. And yeah, this is pretty full-on rock. Heard a track off it on Chris's radio show. This is on Agitated Records. Lunadon, Dion Lunadon it is. So looking forward to hearing that. This one here, again, is still in its shrink wrap. I haven't opened these, I've got to clean them after I've made this video. Play On is a compilation of sorts, put together by a guy called Paul McClaney, who used to be the lead singer in a band called Gramsci here in New Zealand. I heard a track off this on Chris's podcast, his last podcast. Apparently there was a thing called the Pop-Up Globe in Auckland where they were doing a season of Shakespeare, and this is something to do with that. I'm not really sure. What did he say? It was something about putting the music to strings, putting the lyrics to strings and sung by various people. I don't know a lot of the names apart from Paul McClaney, who does the first track. Julia Deans I've heard of, mainly because Chris played one of her songs and possibly off this album as well. Not sure. Been meaning to get my hands on this for a wee while. Phaser Days, this is their debut album. They're another NZ or New Zealand indie pop band. Morningside is the name of the record. I've heard a few tracks off this. I quite like the sound of it. Probably sort of sits in the same vein perhaps as the Mermaidens, whom I showed recently. This is on Flying Nun Records. Yep, again, it's still in its packaging. I think I vaguely remember reading about this one recently, and I've forgotten about it, but the Black Seeds new LP. Now, I showed their last release was 2012, which was released on double vinyl, which I picked up second hand off a local fella through my Facebook group that I'm a member of in New Zealand. Black Seeds Fabric is a double LP. Again, this is hot off the presses. It's probably been only out a few weeks, so interesting to get into that. Possibly the score of the day, the Tall Dwarfs, Throw a Sickie. Now I will know some of the songs off this because it's got quite a lot of play on student radio back in the days when it came out. I'm not sure when this was released. Let's have a look. Don't know. This is an original Flying Nun EP. You pay a lot of money for these EPs. This does have, I think, 6-7 songs on it. Can I find a year? 1987, there it is. Is it a 45? 45 RPM, yes it is. So FN Sick 1 was the catalogue on this, Flying Nun Sick. So they used to change their catalogue numbers around quite a lot for specific releases. So the Sick being, FN being Flying Nun of course, and Sick being the title of the EP. Really looking forward to hearing to that. There are a lot of EPs, old EPs and Flying Nun EPs that turn up reasonably regularly, but they're rare enough to command a pretty good price. I mean, I paid $50 for this. I mean, that's cool. It's got 7 songs on it. A lot of them are going for similar prices with only 1 or with only 2 songs, or perhaps the same song on both sides for remixes. To be honest, I don't buy a lot of those. They have to be pretty. There are some exceptions that I will buy because it's the only way you can get your music, but Salad Boys, this is an LP, I think it was released last year. It's been around the shops and obviously hasn't been selling in big, I think they're Christchurch. I think they're actually a local band, I think they're a punk band. Yeah, finally took the bullet, bit the bullet and bought that. In the second-hand bins, surprisingly still sealed actually, but for $20. So Sam Hamilton, I'm only guessing, but this could be his first album. I've got another album of his that I picked up. I haven't played it a lot, which came out in 2012. This looks like about 2010 or 2011. Yeah, still sealed. Didn't realise that actually. Yeah, that was in the second-hand bin, so pretty cool. So pleased to add that. I've been humming and hawing. This, to be honest, has been sitting in the bins for a while. The Body Electrics, Presentation and Reality. I'm not sure if I'm familiar with some of the tracks on here. Maybe Imagination, Dreaming in a Life. Their EPs actually sell for the same price as this. Pulsing, I got on a compilation CD, is a fantastic techno type, rhythmic disco-y type thing, electronic song from the mid-1980s. I'm not sure when this LP came out. There, Pulsing isn't on this LP. But yeah, it's obviously rare enough it's commanding a reasonably big price on JREM Records. And there's the there. 1983. Yeah, I'm pretty sure I've heard this record. Hey, Christ, I may have even had a copy of it. You never know. It's quite surprising how much I've forgotten. So, I mean, this is, I think, the only album they put out, and they put out some singles and EPs. Their EPs, you do see them around, but they are fetching $50 odd each again with just the one song or two songs on them. This one here is still sealed, which I actually found in the second-hand new arrival bins for $30, so that's not bad. The Spelling Mistakes, this is a compilation. The Spelling Mistakes were a punky type band. I have two of their songs on some compilations. I think they were on the, yeah, I'm pretty sure they were on the AK-79. I'm not sure if they were on it originally, because the original AK-79 vinyl release was expanded considerably for the CD reissue, and I think maybe the vinyl reissue may have come out as a double with all the extra tracks on it, but I do know some of the stuff. So they probably put out a couple of singles and a couple of tracks on some compilations. The rest of the stuff is made up of demo tracks, you know, from the late 70s, early 80s. They sung the song Rena. Rena is the most disgusting song you've ever heard. It's actually brilliant. It should be the New Zealand national anthem. This one here was in the second-hand bins. Lawrence Arabia, I've heard of him, and he was in a band, and I can't tell you the band, and I may even have one of their records, but it just eludes me right now. No. See if I can. Yeah. Bella Union from 2000 and when? 2012. I don't know if this is his first album. He's got a couple albums out now. This is kind of indie pop too. From what I've heard on Chris's radio show, I think it's quite quirky and might be alright. And lastly, still in its rapper, Kane Strang from Dunedin. This is his second album. Chris played a song, no, don't remember the title of it now, off this album on his last or a recent podcast, and I was reasonably impressed, so I thought I'd grab it. Yeah, the new vinyl's quite pricey, but it was all money from the scrap. So yeah, so quite a lot of indie pop there. Well, that record's finished. So, and this one behind me is actually sounding reasonably good for $10, so it might be a worthwhile buy. Anyway, that's this video. So that's quite a haul. So that was my cashing in my copper for the year. So hopefully next year I'll have another few $100s to spend on more vinyl. But yes, big add to my New Zealand collection. So anyway, thanks for watching. See you again.